The first time they tried to sell me, I bit the man's hand so hard he bled on my face. He'd grabbed my jaw to show off my teeth like a horse. I turned and sank down to the bone. He screamed, called me wild, cursed my blood. That was 2 markets. Ego. They tied my hands tighter after that, made sure I couldn't get my mouth near anyone worth coin. Now I was back on the block, dust choking the air. My wrists burned from the rope. Flies circled my face, drawn to the sweat and the healing. Gash on my cheek. The sun hung low, blistering the wooden platform beneath me. People passed by. Men in trail-worn boots, women with tight mouths and lowered eyes. No one looked at me for long. I was bad luck. I could feel it radiating off me like heat from a stove. They said the war ruined us. But it wasn't just the war. My father came home with nothing but a limp and liquor in his gut. The farm was gone. The debt was not. Mama didn't last the first winter after. I buried her under the last patch of snow with a cracked rosary and a chipped spoon, all she had left. After that, I wasn't a daughter. I was a burden. Too sharp-tongued to marry, too proud to serve, and too angry to just waste away. So they made me into trade, not for love, not even for survival. Just for wheat, a bottle, and a promise of someone else's problem. They said it was a marriage offer. But no ring ever found my finger. Just eyes like knives and hands that didn't ask. I wasn't a daughter anymore, I told myself. I was a price tag no one wanted to pay. They stood me up again that morning, brushed my tangled hair with the back of a switch and forced me into a faded calico dress that didn't fit right anymore. I'd grown taller last year, but nobody noticed, or cared. The auction square stank of horses' sweat and old regret. A few men chuckled when they saw me. One asked if I was the same girl from last time. Another spat near my feet and said I wasn't worth feeding. Some stepped closer, to look, to poke, to sneer. Too scrawny, too mean. Bet she bites. One did touch me, pressed his thumb to my chin, tilted my head. Got a pretty mouth on her, though. I didn't flinch, not anymore. That kind of reaction only encouraged them. Then everything got quiet. I didn't see him at first. Just the shift in the air, the way voices dropped like someone important had arrived. I turned slightly. A man had stepped out of the crowd. Tall, broad-shouldered, his long coat dusty from the trail. He wore a hat that shadowed most of his face, but I could see the set of his jaw, rough, unshaven, and hard. He didn't look at me right away. He looked at the man holding the rope. Then he said, voice low and slow like water trickling over stone, "She yours to sell?" The rope holder shifted, suddenly less sure of himself. "Yeah. I mean," her pa said. The man didn't blink, just reached into his coat, pulled out something silver and heavy. Coins. More than I'd ever seen. The man hesitated. "You don't want her. Ain't worth the trouble. She talks back. Might run." The cowboy's eyes moved to mine for the first time. He didn't speak, just looked. Not like the others did, not at my mouth or my waist. Just me. I didn't look away. He handed over the coins without another word. Then, he stepped forward and cut the rope with a small hunting knife. I jerked from the sting of loosened wrists, unsure whether to bolt or stay still. He didn't grab me, didn't bark an order, just held out his hand. I stared at it. It was big, weathered, calloused, the kind of hand that could kill or carry, and for the first time in years I had no idea which one it would be. I took it. He led me through the crowd, slow and steady. People parted. No one laughed now. A few looked away in shame. Others in curiosity. But no one stopped us. I half expected to be shoved into a cart or tied to a wagon, but he brought me to a horse. A tall black one with kind eyes. He lifted me onto the saddle like I weighed nothing. Then he swung up behind me. We rode in silence. As the market vanished behind us and the sun burned orange over the hills, I felt the ache in my bones begin to settle, not gone, never gone, but quieter. I didn't know if I'd been rescued or bought for something worse. All I knew was, No one had ever paid more than a handful of grain to keep me. And this man had, paid in silver. The ride took hours, maybe more. I stopped counting after the sun dropped behind the hills and the stars blinked awake overhead. My back ached from the saddle, but I didn't complain, not out loud. Boone never spoke unless he had to, and I didn't want to be the first to break whatever quiet spell had settled between us. When we reached the ranch, I thought I was dreaming. Not because it was grand, and it wasn't. The house was small, slanted from wind and time. The barn had a hole in its roof, patched with tin. There was no garden, no white fence, no welcoming porch light. Just a man, a horse, and the wind. Still, something about it made my ribs ache. He helped me down. My legs were numb and I nearly collapsed. He caught my elbow but didn't linger. Just pointed toward the house, then went to tend the horse. Inside, it was quiet as a church in winter. Wood creaked. The air smelled like dust and pine. I braced for the worst. A locked door, a cot in the corner, maybe chains. Instead, he nodded toward a small room off the main hallway. A bed, a basin, a window. Mine. I expected shackles. Instead, he gave me my own room. We didn't speak much. After that, Boone, that was his name, I learned later from a letter left on the mantel, moved like a man who'd once been loud and learned not to be. He fixed saddles in the evenings, read by the fireplace with round spectacles he pulled from a leather case. I watched from my doorway like a ghost. He never asked me to cook, never told me what to do. At first, that scared me more than anything. I'd learned to read intentions and orders, to measure safety in the structure of command. His silence left too much space for thinking. I tried to run once. Slipped out at dawn while he was in the barn. I didn't get far. The prairie stretched in every direction like an ocean with no shoreline. By dusk, my legs were shaking, and I couldn't tell the sky from the earth anymore. He found me curled near a creek bed, shivering and furious. He didn't scold me, didn't even ask why. Just helped me up, gave me his canteen and said, "Come home now." The next morning, he started building a fence around the outer fields, not to trap me. I understood that now, to give me edges, boundaries, something I could understand. Meals were quiet. We ate by lantern light. His chair always creaked the same way when he sat. He chewed slow, deliberate. I used to watch his hands, how careful they were when he buttered bread, as if everything in this world could break. One night, I finally asked him the question that had been rotting inside me since the market. "Why'd you buy me?" He looked up, spoon halfway to his mouth. After a long pause, he answered, "You looked like someone no one should leave behind." Then he finished his soup. I didn't know what to do with that answer. I wanted him to say something selfish, or cruel, or romantic, something I could put into a box and resent or admire. But Boone didn't give things labels. He just lived. I tried to keep to myself, but the house was too small, and I was too loud inside my own mind. Then came Greyhawk. I first saw him at the edge of the property, a lean figure in buckskin, watching from atop a hill. Boone nodded to him one morning, like he was just part of the weather. Greyhawk didn't speak for days, just showed up sometimes, helping repair the barn, dropping off skinned rabbits. He never looked at me long, but he didn't look through me either. One morning I found a purple wildflower resting on the step outside my door. I didn't pick it up, just stared at it for a long while. That was the first time I realized someone saw me. Not just Boone, not just Greyhawk, but me, under all the grit and grief. I started rising with the sun. I mucked the stables, even when Boone didn't ask. Gathered eggs, helped patch the chicken coop when a fox tore through it. Every task gave me edges, a shape, a reason to stand upright. One afternoon he handed me a rifle. I froze. My palms went clammy. Memories flooded me, of hands forcing, of eyes watching, of being powerless. He didn't speak, just waited. My fingers wrapped around the cold metal. They trembled like leaves in the wind. Boone came behind me, quiet as fog. He didn't touch me, not until I faltered. Then just a steadying hand beneath my elbow, We aimed at a rusted tin can on the fence post. I missed, of course. He didn't laugh, just nodded, reloaded, and waited again. By the third shot, I hit the dirt under the can. I grinned. A little. That evening, we shared coffee. Just coffee. Hot, bitter, perfect. Our mugs clinked on the table at the same time. A moment passed where neither of us looked away. Something was building between us. Not romance. Not yet. But trust. The slow kind. The kind that doesn't need words, and for the first time in years I didn't feel like someone waiting to run. Greyhawk came down from the hills at dusk, eyes narrowed like a hawk spotting blood. He didn't dismount, just sat atop his horse near the barn, arms crossed, jaw locked. "They're coming," he said. Boone didn't ask who. He just nodded, once, slow and grim. I stood behind the porch rail, the wind catching the hem of my dress, my heart already thudding like hooves. One of them recognized her, wants her back. Greyhawk didn't need to say what kind of man he was. I already knew. The kind who doesn't pay in silver, who doesn't ask. Boone turned to me. "Get your things. Head south. Greyhawk will lead you through the river pass." I stared at him, chest burning. "You think I'm just gonna run?" "That's what I'd do if I were smart," he said. But he didn't meet my eyes. "Then it's a good thing I'm not." He loaded the rifle without another word. By nightfall, the sky cracked open. Rain fell in sheets, cold and biting. Lightning lit up the plains like cannon fire. We barred the doors, shuttered the windows. The fire sputtered low. Greyhawk disappeared into the trees, bow in hand, as silent as the storm. Then came the hooves, thundering. Down the muddy slope, a dozen, maybe more. Shadows twisted outside, voices shouting. "My name! Girl, come on out! No more hide and seek! You're bought and paid!" Boone stood by the front door, rifle raised. He didn't flinch when the first bullet hit the porch beam. He fired once, clean, and a scream followed. Gunshots cracked the air. Splinters flew. The front window shattered. Boone grunted and dropped to one knee. Blood soaked his sleeve. I screamed, grabbed his arm, tried to pull him back, but he waved me off. "Get under the floor." "I won't. Now!" I slid under. The trapdoor just as the front door cracked open and a boot kicked in the frame. I could see everything through the slats. Boone bleeding, crawling, the flicker of torches outside. Then silence. Until a scream. Short, sharp, Greyhawk. He moved through the shadows like a wraith. Knives flashed, a body fell. Another stumbled backward into the dark, clutching his throat. But one man remained. Bigger. Meaner. The one with my name on his tongue. He stepped into the cabin, eyes sweeping the room. Boone lifted the rifle with his good arm. Too slow. The man raised his pistol. That's when I rose. I kicked open the trapdoor and grabbed the second rifle from the shelf. My hands didn't shake this time. He turned too late. The shot cracked through the cabin like thunder. He dropped. Dead before he hit the floor. The others fled. I stood there, the rifle hot in my hands, breath ragged. Rain still pounded the roof. Boone coughed, blood on his lips. I dropped to my knees beside him. "You're shot," I whispered. "You're shaking. I'm not scared." He smiled, just a twitch at the corner of his mouth. I stitched him up with thread and whiskey. Greyhawk brought water and bandages, never saying a word, just watching. When it was done, Boone lay back against the hearth, pale but alive. "Thought you'd run," he murmured. "I did," I whispered. "Right back to you." He didn't answer, but he didn't need to. Spring came slow that year. Mud turned to grass. The barn got a new roof. I planted flowers, bright, stubborn little things that bloomed in spite of the wind. I made curtains for the windows, taught myself how to laugh again. Boone got stronger. Greyhawk came by more often. We didn't speak of that night. We didn't have to. One morning, Boone handed me something wrapped in leather. Inside was a ring, crude, silver, melted from the bullet I'd fired. I wore it without words. He never asked me to marry him. He didn't have to. He bought me once, not to own me but to save me, and somehow through blood and silence and firelight, I saved us both. We rode out one evening side by side, the sky pale and endless above us. Dust curled behind our horses' hooves. No one called me a price tag anymore. We weren't captor and captive. We were something else now. We were equals.